Hello everyone, my name is Michaela Otto and I'm a senior at Trinity Christian College. This presentation is going to be an overview of the Growth Mindset Playbook. I have read this in my Methods for General Educators course, so there's some really great information. I'm going to be touching on two key chapters throughout this presentation, so let's get started. So here I've provided a table of content just so we can see what we're going to be talking about today and just where we're headed in this presentation. So we're going to go over what a growth mindset is, and then we're going to go over the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. Then we will give overview of information, why is a growth mindset important, and then I'm going to be talking about chapter 6 and chapter 10 of the book. So first things first, what is growth mindset? So growth mindset is believing that abilities can be developed and strengthened. This is extremely important for educators because you're going to have students come into your classroom and you want to have the growth mindset that they are going to succeed and they are going to learn in your classroom. I believe a growth mindset is key in becoming a wonderful teacher and a wonderful educator, as well as teaching your students that, it is okay if you don't understand right now, because in the future, after some help in the classroom, after some practices, that these students are going to succeed and they're not going to stay put where they are right now in their education. Growth mindset is also being able to trust the process. If you don't trust the process of your students learning and working through problems and failing and learning to succeed, then there's no way that you're going to be able to have this growth mindset for your students as well for yourself. I think having a growth mindset for us as educators, or for me as an individual, is extremely important. If I don't have this growth mindset walking into my classroom, how am I ever going to be able to learn from my mistakes or learn from my students? I think it's a great tip and a great thing to work through as an educator. It's not always something easy that people are just able to do. At times it can be very challenging. So now we're going to talk about what the difference is between having a fixed mindset and having a growth mindset. These are two very different experiences, very different mindsets. So first off, we are going to talk about a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is having qualities and talents, but believing that they are fixed traits. So it's something that maybe you're born with, or something that you've had the ability to do for a while, and that's all you're going to have. You're not going to succeed anymore. That's all you know how to do, or that's all you can understand. So rather than developing like you would with a growth mindset, like I had talked previously, you're going to stay stuck on what you do know. So this can be a challenge for students, especially when they have this fixed mindset of they know how to do this and that's the only thing they may know how to do, or that's the only thing they've been told that they've been good at. Also, they can struggle to challenge themselves, not only students but adults as well. So take a teacher for example. You might struggle to challenge yourself, and then that's going to cause you to maybe struggle to challenge your students in the classroom. Also, with a fixed mindset, it's extremely hard to branch out and learn new things and try new things. If they fail, they don't try again, they don't learn through that failure, they are more likely to just give up and not try again and not strive for the success that they were hoping for. So again, just to touch on the growth mindset so we can see a side by side. So a growth mindset creates a passion for learning. It creates this learning through failure process. So instead of trying something new and failing and giving up immediately, these students and individuals are going to fail and learn from that failure. I don't like to use the word failure, but learn from maybe their mistake or learn from something that didn't go the way that they had hoped to. Also, they're going to be able to recognize challenging themselves. So if something's difficult, they're going to say, this is challenging for me, but I'm going to come out on top. I'm going to come out stronger than I did before, even if I don't succeed at first. I'm going to try again and try again and figure out the best way that I can achieve this goal that I'm working for. So an overview of this presentation as well as our job as educators. What's important? Well, the most important thing is our students. We want them to succeed in our classrooms. We want them to strive for success, to reach their goals and to go beyond their goals, as well as their education. Their education is our main focus as well as their well-being. We want to be able for them to walk out of our classroom and have them say, you know what, I am ready for the next grade. I am ready to succeed in places other than the classroom. A huge key point in all of this overview of what's important is for our students to understand that we're behind them, supporting them. We're not challenging them because we want them to fail. We're not challenging them because we think that they can't achieve it. We're challenging them because they need to know that they can achieve it, that they are good enough, and that they are smart enough to reach these goals and potentials that you as the teacher as well as the student is setting for themselves. So of course I had to add in a Dr. Seuss quote because who doesn't love him? This quote is, the more that you read, the more things you will know, the more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Just a really great quote. I think a really great quote to go along with this growth mindset book, as well as to go along with the goals of our classroom and of us as teachers for the students. So telling the students, you know, the more things that you learn or the more books you read or the more help you get, you know, the more things you're going to know, and the more that you know, the more things you'll be able to achieve. So I think this is a really great quote, not only to kind of have displayed in the classroom, but to have as like a motto for yourself as the educator. For you too, the more that you learn and the more things you learn about your students and things you learn from other peers or from other educators, from your coworkers, the more successful you're going to be in your classroom. So we're going to talk about chapter 6 first. We're going to talk about what's important, why do it, and how to do it in your classroom. So I have a few really great key ideas that I have kind of pulled out of chapter 6 that I think are extremely important in having this growth mindset, as well as just being a well-rounded educator. So one of the most important things for shame awareness is to be aware of anything that's taking place in your classroom. Your classroom is your home, and those students are your children. So what's going on in there? Are there things being said by other students, by other faculty members maybe that may come into your room, or by you as the individual? Shame is something that is okay to experience, but it's not okay to experience this over and over again in the classroom. It's okay if you didn't notice it at first. That's okay. But to learn through those times and then to understand, wow, maybe this is something taking place in my classroom or out of my classroom, and I need to be more aware of this. So are you approaching your students in a positive way, or are you shaming them? Are you saying you're doing this wrong? Are you saying, no, that's not right? Or are you talking to them with more positive words like, great work, that's a great try. Let's try and do it this way. So also you want to create relationships, have a trusting connection with each of your students. If you just connect with one student, that's wonderful, but you have 15 other students in your classroom. You need to create relationships and have that trusting connection with all of them. You want them to be comfortable to come and talk to you. You want them to be comfortable learning in your classroom. If they're uncomfortable and they're worried about what's going to be said to me, or if I answer this question and it's wrong, I'm going to look so silly, or I'm going to be made fun of. You don't want students to feel like that. You want them to know that it's okay to answer a question wrong, to know that it's okay to not get something right, because everybody struggles and not everybody gets everything right. That's why we're learning. That's why we're in school. Another thing that I love, not only from this book, but just in general, is positive language approach. I'm going to touch upon this again in the next slide, but just being able to approach your students in a positive way. So kind of like I stated before, instead of saying to them, no, you didn't do this right, or do this again, it's wrong, you could say to them, hey, I noticed that this question may be off a little bit. Let's work through it together. Or that's a really great idea. Why don't we try and think of something else too? Or why don't we try a different approach for that? So just being able to approach your students in a more positive way with a kinder mindset, and knowing that if you want to have a growth mindset, if you want your children in the classroom to have a growth mindset, you need to approach things in a more positive way rather than constant negativity, constant putting down. Also, another thing to know about is being aware of anything taking place outside of the classroom. Is stuff taking place in recess? Is stuff taking place at the gym in lunch? And especially, is it taking place at home? Is a student approaching you, or you hear a student talking loud to their peers about maybe something that had been said at home? You need to be aware of that, especially if it is affecting the student's learning and affecting the student's attitude in the classroom. And then also just being your student's safe place, being somewhere that they're comfortable in learning, being somewhere that they can come to you if they need anything or if they need help with anything. The next thing is behavior management. So calling out students for what they're doing wrong is not the best approach to take. Not calling students out in front of one another is a really great approach. So instead of out loud saying, so and so, that's very wrong, you could say to them, hey, let's try something else. Or if something's going on and they're not acting appropriate, or they're not maybe focusing, having like a key word with them, or having a little one-on-one, maybe if you go and put your hand on their desk, they're aware of, their behavior and they're able to come back, as well as talking to students who are struggling behaviorally individually. So instead of calling them out on their behavior in front of the whole class, sit them down at your desk, maybe go lean down by their desk, get on their level and talk to them. Otherwise, it's going to look like shame to them as well. Another thing that I love is talking to students that are behaving appropriately or that are succeeding. So instead of approaching a student who's doing something wrong, approach a student who's doing something right that you want that student to see. So instead of saying, raise your hand, or you need to raise your hand, you could say, so-and-so, I love how you're raising your hand and waiting patiently. So-and-so, I love how you put your pencil on your desk and your hands are folded in your lap. That kind of approach will then cause the student with that behavior to see that and want that praise from you. So to adjust the way that they are talking or the way that they're behaving to get that praise from you as the teacher. So chapter 10, we're going to go again with what's important, why do it, and how to do it in the classroom. So what's important? Classroom environment. Classroom environment is a huge important thing in the classroom, or for you and for your students to succeed. So changing that environment to help them, changing the environment around, for example, instead of sitting at their desk, maybe they're going to come sit on the carpet with you. Instead of having them take a test by themselves, maybe we're going to take a partner test. Instead of having, the lights off for silent reading, maybe we're going to put lamps in the room, just to change it up, as well as individualized learning plans. So meeting the specific needs of your students, being able to see those needs and approach them, and being able to help those individual students succeed. So the classroom environment, I wanted to add some classroom rules, I can statements, as well as individual work charts. So these students being able to see this and being able to follow upon and act upon these positive rules. Individualized learning plans. Also, being able to help those students, being able to differentiate what's being taught is just a great thing to know about, as well as to act upon as that teacher. So I just want to finish out with a quote. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. We are great educators and we are successful. So I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for listening and have a great day.